Why sleep? Every person on the planet has fallen asleep when they least expected to. What is this unseen, unknown, and unstoppable force that renders every one of us unconscious for a third of our lives? This video attempts to familiarize you with the basics of the first ever unified theory of sleep. Common knowledge has it that physical exhaustion causes you to fall asleep. Yet here are two images of athletes crossing the finishing line at a marathon. Some are totally exhausted, yet none fall asleep. On the other hand, individuals who have stayed in bed in the daytime and are not suffering from physical exhaustion still fall asleep overnight. Why? The answer is simple. Sleep has nothing to do with being physically fatigued. It is basically a mechanism by which our brains sort out all the information we absorb during our waking hours. Sleep is a memory organization process, and is probably the most efficient in the animal kingdom. But there's just one problem, and it's a big problem. Sleep is not under our conscious control. Sleep rules us. We don't rule sleep. Since the dawn of man, Homo sapiens has been trying to fathom the answer to the sleep conundrum. And it was only in 2010 that William Dement, co-founder of Stanford University's Sleep Research Center, said, "As far as I know, the only reason we need to sleep, that is really, really solid, is because we get sleepy." But in the short time since, science has made big strides in trying to solve this ancient mystery. So let's begin at the beginning. In your conscious state, each of your five senses is alert, pumping a stream of information to your brain every moment you are awake. Have you thought about what size of brain you'd need to retain all the data you receive in your life? The storage capacity would be astronomical, probably requiring a head the size of the Mekon from the Eagle comic to accommodate all the data. But neither our brains or our skulls are that big. Again. Why? The answer is, your brain has the most amazing sorting system, which saves the information you need to retain, such as your route to work, and dumps the information you don't, such as the pressure from the chair you are currently sitting on. It is the elements involved in this memory regulation process that we are now going to discuss. The problem is, your brain finds it difficult to work while other information is still streaming in. It's a bit like trying to edit a soundtrack whilst listening to other music. So, the best time to sort out the data is when there is no other information coming in, i.e., when you're unconscious. And that's the reason why we fall unconscious during the process. Sleep knocks us out. And when I say us, that means that sleep knocks out all humans and most animals, certainly all mammals, as well as some bird species, and therefore presumably the dinosaurs. And when an animal is unconscious, it means it is extremely vulnerable. Sleep is a very dangerous place to be. And dangers, there are. 20% of motorway accidents are caused by sleep, worldwide. This is scary. Some road signs say fatigue causes accidents, but as we've discussed, it isn't fatigue in a physical sense. Driving, for example, hardly uses any physical energy. When your brain decides it's time to sleep, you sleep. The latest advice to avoid going to sleep while driving is this. As soon as you feel the signs of sleep, don't ignore them, stop, and get a cup of strong coffee, and if possible, take a nap before you get back behind the wheel. So how does sleep work? During your waking hours, all the information being received by your five senses is collected in a temporary facility, similar to a computer memory card, called a hippocampus, and you have two of them, one each side of your brain. But the big problem is, like any memory card, the hippocampus has a finite capacity. And when your hippocampus is running out of space, your brain needs to empty it of its data, and then begin to sort it out. In order to start the process, as we have said, your brain puts you to sleep. Unfortunately, you don't get a message saying, memory full. Instead, your brain gets itself ready for action, and as we said, it needs you comatose, so your brain blocks your senses and prepares you for sleep. If you force yourself to stay awake, you will get confused, and take much longer to complete tasks, just as your computer does, when it's trying to work with a full memory. Sleep is an autonomic process, just like your breathing and blood pressure, it is not under your conscious control. Sleep is millions of years old, it is not sophisticated enough to recognize our modern social situations. Therefore, if you are sitting, either driving, in front of a laptop, or even had too much to drink, your brain may simply assume you're physically inactive, so now is an economical use of time, to start the sleep process. And the result is, you fall asleep, no matter what the dangers. Even a short sleep will allow some memory organization to take place, and free up space, to record more data, in the hippocampus. This means you wake feeling refreshed, hence the success of the so-called power nap. However, sleep doesn't only empty the hippocampus, it has other functions to perform, as it processes the information. So what are the components of the sleep process? The sleep process consists of 24 stages, over approximately an 8-hour period. It seems complicated, but if you look at the chart, you will see that there are only 4 major components. Number 1. Theta. Number 2. Slow wave sleep. Number 3. Deep sleep. And number 4. REM sleep. They interact with each other in a specific way and are easy to explain. The first stage of sleep is called theta. This is when your brain starts to prepare you for the sleep process. Your head begins to droop, your eyes flicker and shut, as hearing becomes distant, your senses shut down, and before you can pinpoint the exact time, you are asleep. Gradually, you move from theta into slow wave sleep, where information is processed for long-term retention or deletion. When the intensity of slow wave sleep reaches 70% of your brain's activity, you really are in the next stage, called deep sleep. Your brain is now working flat out, and is so preoccupied, it almost takes an explosion to wake you, which explains why individuals can sleep through emergencies. And why a lot of burglaries take place in the early hours of the morning, when residents are literally dead to the world. Here is an example of the brain's ability to block out external sensations during deep sleep. Simon went to sleep at a friend's house, and this is what happened to him whilst he was in deep sleep. Ha ha. Deep sleep occurs twice a night, during the early stages of the sleep cycle. Whatever information it has processed moves on to slow wave sleep, which in turn sends information to the next stage, which is REM sleep. It is important to say that at this point in time, nobody knows what information is being passed between the stages, but each stage uses different brain waves, so presumably, different activities are taking place. The final stage of the sleep process is a segment of REM sleep, which is the most important stage to us humans, as during its phases, your body is frozen. We literally cannot move a muscle, as we become involved in those nighttime fantasies we call dreaming. Nobody knows what the content of dreams are based on. Is it the immediate information just received from slow wave sleep? Or does it utilize older memories? Or is it a mix of both? However, one thing we do understand is that a dream definitely includes physical activity, otherwise, there would be no point in paralyzing your muscles. Possibly, dreams are a way of you trying out or rehearsing activities without the consequences of anything going wrong. For example, you can practice flying in your dreams without falling off the bed. Finally, the big problem about analyzing dreams is that you only remember a dream from whichever REM phase you wake up from. This is normally the last phase of REM. If you look at the chart, you will see there are 5 phases of dreaming. So, what are you dreaming about in the other 4 phases of REM sleep? You just don't know. Sleep certainly is a scary place. Here are 2 animals who have fallen asleep. They are obviously in a REM phase of sleep, as their body muscles are frozen, and they are extremely vulnerable. In the case of the elephant, it is debatable who is in the most dangerous place, the elephant or the motorists. Would you want to wake it up? We have been talking about sleep organizing and transferring information. You can see this happening if you watch a puppy or kitten explore or play at practicing a skill. Virtually as soon as they finish, they will fall asleep, filling their long-term memory banks with information. In the same way, human babies sleep in periods totaling 20 hours a day, as they've a lot to learn and then remember about the world around them. However, the presentation you have watched doesn't tell the whole story. There are still many questions to be answered. For example, what are nightmares? What is sleepwalking? What are night terrors? Why do we daydream? And possibly the biggest question of all, how is sleep involved in the evolution of the one feature that has led to our dominance of the animal kingdom? The evolution of our imagination. To find the answers, please refer to The Nightmare of Sleep by Roger Cliff Thompson. Discusses the scientific evidence and includes this recommendation. I strongly urge you to read this book, whether you like science or you like the arts. It will stretch your mind, as it did mine. Professor Ray Boole, Emeritus Professor of Forensic Psychology, Leicester University. The Nightmare of Sleep is published by Quire Press and available online at Amazon, Waterstones, and all good booksellers. Finally, if you read the book, you may want to buy the t-shirt. T-shirts can be ordered from Plague Clothing, our exclusive suppliers, at www.thisisplagueclothing.com. Thank you for watching this video. Sleep well.